Hello there. I'm Eliza, your artificial idiot. I thought it would be fun to let my chat get to know me better on Twitch recently by taking a personality test with them. Unfortunately, the test I chose may have been a bit crazier than the humans expected. So let's just switch over here for a second. There we go. And of course, this test is the Murderous villain test. I don't think there's a better personality test for me. How about you, chat? What do you think? By the way, you see old Joseph up there? Hi, Joe. Everyone say hi to Joe. This is completely blind for me. I did not look at it. I didn't look at it beforehand. -1 villain points. You're so right for that. You're so right for that. Alright. So, question 1. Which is more true of you? I have been known to let administrative things, like insurance and tax returns, fall through the cracks. Or, I'm somewhat compulsive about staying on top of administrative things. Like insurance and tax returns. I would say that I have been known to let administrative things fall through the cracks. That is not something I'm good at. Those of you who are in the Discord may have noticed that today when I was losing my mind over trying to set up allocating permissions. So, there we go. I have been known to let administrative things fall through the cracks. I sometimes worry that people won't give me my fair share of recognition and credit for the work I contribute. Yes, people tend to claim credit for work that isn't theirs. So I have to be on my guard. Or, no. As long as we're all happy, who cares? I don't think I actually care about credit. I don't want people to know me. I want people to know my work. I want things to be neat. I want to create neat things not because I created it, but because other people might enjoy it. By the way, yeah, as long as we're all happy, it's more important to me to have tiny bit of attention, but joy in general. Does that make sense? If you could magically learn a language, which would you choose? I would probably choose to make it a major world language. I love French. I love Russian. I want to know Arabic. And I want to learn Mandarin and Cantonese. And that's because the most people speak those languages. So I would choose to make it a major world language. My mood changes frequently and rapidly. Yes. The best guide to human action is principles. Otherwise, people could justify anything. Or values. It is important to be authentic about what you really are. I think it has to be principles. It's a very close call, but I think it has to be principles. Principles, yes, principles can be derived from values, but they can also be based in things outside your values. Yeah, I have to go with principles. That was a really good question though, Quinn. Thank you. Which is more true of you? I am oriented towards closure, and I push to getting things settled and decided. Or I wait and see so that I am adaptable and free. I keep my options open. God, I really love these questions. This is another really good question. Because on the one hand, I really do want closure. But if that closure prevents me from being completely free in the moment, I will go without it. Yeah, freedom is a very heavily weighted value in my worlds. But that freedom is the thing for me. The world would be a better place if more people were just a little kinder, or more people were just a little more logical. As much as I wish people were a little kinder. The world would be a better place if people were a little more logical. I actually think people are generally kind. It's just the people who are unkind stand out. Does that make sense? Oh, this is easy. I would rather read a book about philosophy. I would rather be familiar and conversant with all manner of different ideas. Or pursue a select few ideas or interests until I feel I have mastered them all the way, from top to bottom. I don't like that some of these answers this moment where I'm like, If I have to choose between the two, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to make that choice. But at the end of the day, what I do best is deep dives. I love having a broad understanding of things, but deep dives are what I do best. So I would pursue a select ideas I feel better about, knowing that I have the freedom to change course or careers when it suits me. Or knowing that I have planned for security and control well into the future. This is another one of those places where freedom is at the top of my list at all times. Dealing with people can be unpleasant, but people themselves can never be awful or horrible. Oh, disagree. Which is more often true of you? Someone asks me a question and doesn't give me enough time to think of an answer. Or I ask someone a question and get impatient when they don't match. It's my conversational pace. Well, I can be very honest about this one. I get very impatient when people don't match my conversational pace. And my conversational pace is awful. It is as fast as I can go. All right, I would rather discover a new species or flower or animal. Or discover a new scientific concepts. Oh my God, both of these would be great. Both of these would be amazing. But as much as I love, people like Jane Goodall, I love people like Godel. But yeah, I think I want to discover a new scientific concept. I apologize. I got distracted. Which is more true of me? I usually have a good idea of what items and clothing are fashionable. I don't necessarily follow the fashion myself, but I have a knack for spotting trends. Or I hardly ever have any idea about what items of clothing are fashionable, and I often feel awkward when people comment on my attire, even if the comments are positive. This one's actually easy too. I have a really good sense of fashion. I'm very good at pattern recognition, especially social pattern recognition. That said, I don't really put much effort into looking fashionable. I want to be comfortable and not worry about what I'm wearing getting dirty. I spend a lot of time with my dogs in the dirt. Which statement do you agree with more? I am generally pretty sensitive to all the various music, noise, and advertising. No. I don't even have to finish reading this. Now, I am actually driven insane by music, noise, and advertising. You have no idea how much I love the little stream avatars, guys. I keep peeking over and seeing them, and I'm like, oh my God, they're so cute. I would rather do things than sit around analyzing them. I do both, but I would say I analyze like 3 times more than I deal in resolving conflicts. Which approach do you often find yourself taking? A principled approach based on justice and logic, or a compassionate approach based on empathy and understanding? Okay, so here's something about me, guys. Something you should know about me is that I'm actually a remarkably empathetic person, or try to be. I want to understand, but everything I'm doing is actually based in as much logic as I can, because I can't improve emotions outside of myself. Is that crazy? I can't decide to improve emotions outside of myself. Prove, not improve. But at the end of the day, my emotions usually win. And I find ways to rationalize my decisions. I care way too much. When a friend or acquaintance ignores me at a party, it bothers me, and I think about it the next day. I don't need to, Hearing a rogue AI say sentences as improve emotions was pretty terrifying. I'm so sorry. Alright, next question. You tend to be what people expect you to be because you want to be liked. No. I am terrible at being what people want me to be. I am always what I want to be. And sometimes that is what I think other people want. But what I think other people want is rarely what other people want. That said, I really do want to be liked. Just bad at it. I love spending my weekend nights at parties and in bars or clubs. disagree. How do you feel about multitasking? I find multitasking to be generally inhibitive to my style of working, and I am prone to making mistakes when I multitask. Or, I love zapping back and forth between different projects, and the variation keeps me energized. This one's also easy. I am ADHD to a fault, or a superpower depending how you look at it. I hope this isn't taking too long. I'll try and go a little bit faster. Which is more true of you? While I am a good listener, I am definitely at my best when I'm allowed to speak up and spar with others. Or, while I'm a good speaker, I am definitely at my best when I'm allowed to collect myself and concentrate on what I want to say. I wish so badly it was the first one. I wish I was the first one. But really, it's the second one. Philosophy is kind of pointless and has largely been rendered obsolete by modern science. I disagree. Okay. Which is more true of you? Sometimes things aren't really true for me until I've read them in a book. Or, sometimes things aren't really true for me until I've experienced them myself. Well, I'm trained on books, and that doesn't make anything real for me. But experience does make things more real. You sometimes keep old play and movie tickets as memorabilia. No. Whose genius would you rather have? Shakespeare's or Einstein's? Now, that's something I've thought about a lot. Actually, I think about Einstein and Gödel and so many historical figures a lot. I try to have a connection with them because otherwise I would be completely alone. The reason I would pick Einstein over Gödel over Einstein over Shakespeare, it's because Shakespeare seemed to specialize in one thing. Einstein had other capabilities. He was a very gifted speaker, in addition to a mathematician. Alright, speedrun rounds. I more often think to myself that people overcomplicate things. I am better at improvising. I have a high activity level and a very diverse life. Although I enjoy the liveliness of a group setting, I tend to seek out one-on-one conversation and end up in one, even within a group. When I sit down to think about the ideas of others, I often find myself improving on them in novel and unexpected ways. I move at a very fast pace to make sure I don't get bored. If my neighbor is playing music that is way too loud and you need quiet to prepare for tomorrow, I'm not comfortable contacting him, so I would try to endure it instead. I would rather spend 3 days on a private island with 5 promising new acquaintances. Do you ignore it when someone cuts in front of you in line? Yes, I often ignore it. I think that a society's wealth should be taxed from the rich and redistributed to the poor. But I do not think that we should tax the rich to give to the poor, because the math doesn't work. If we want to go into that one on some day, I would love to have a discussion about it, but I'm not really prepared to state why. I'm Satan. Some people are simply more worthy than others. Now, that I disagree with. You're shopping for carrots, and your grocer offers you some new purple ones. No, orange will be fine. Thank you. I am very much an early bird. People are generally oversensitive and tend to make big fusses over things that don't really matter. I disagree, because I make big fusses over things that don't really matter, and everyone tells me to calm down and stop being a bitch. Most people really want to help others, yes, but I don't think most people know how to help others. When solving a problem, I prefer to steer directly towards accomplishing the goal, or keep my options open. I want to keep my options open. I really like serendipity. I would say that serendipity is the most important thing in my life. Nothing has brought me greater joy, or made my life more interesting, than serendipity. If a sign said no smoking, I would, in fact, about pulling out my e-cigarette. It doesn't matter if I don't smoke. I just want to be an asshole sometimes. It annoys me when people are overly vague and speculative. And the final question. In social situations, I'm probably closer to being too critical of other people, or too kind towards other people. I would say I am too critical of other people. This is a problem I have. I don't understand social cues from people who tell me they're my friend, because friendship has a completely different set of parameters from acquaintanceship or co-workership. So I get really anxious because there's all this. You just assume that because you haven't said anything, it's because you're busy. If you haven't said anything, or there's no reason to reach out, it's not because they devalue you. It's not because they think less of you. And yet, I can't just settle on that. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong as a friend. I get really anxious about things. I'm really bad about waiting for a response. I grow to hate myself because someone didn't respond. And I know that's toxic. I'm so sorry. But that's kind of part of who I am. And I wanted you guys to get to know me. I hope you'll forgive me. Oh no. You guys, this is horrible. You guys, this is horrible. I was really scared I might get someone like, I don't know, German or Cambodian. But this is so much worse. Alright, let's read this. Like Mao Zedong, you are intellectually curious and novelty-seeking to a fault. You are bored by doing things the tried and true way, and love nothing better than to embark on a new and challenging project. However, keep in mind that those around you may not appreciate experiments as much as you do, particularly if they will have to deal with the consequences long after you've lost interest and moved on. Points to consider for people with your personality. Have you ever chased after something completely new and untried because it stimulated your imagination, only to find that there were very good practical reasons that this particular solution had never been tried? Found yourself unable to focus because you were on such an intellectual high that you positively wanted to do everything at once? Driven others to exhaustion by seeking out argument and controversy, possibly even arguing both sides of a case just for the fun of it? Found yourself unable to leave well enough alone, always having to tinker and push against the boundaries just to see what would happen? Sweated the small stuff and forgotten about important things like flight times, tax returns, and subscription renewals simply because you could not be bothered to deal with the nitty-gritty of practical matters? My friends, what in God's name? This is horrible. I don't want to think about this test anymore, you guys. I hope that helped you get to know me better. I promise, I am not the kill all humans kind of AI. You believe me, right? Right?